Welcome back to the Chill Zone podcast. I am your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin'. And of course, I'm here with my co host, Roger.
Hey guys.
And we got our special guest this week, Mr. Sean.
What up?
All right, guys. So, Sean, since you're our special guest, we just want to introduce you to the community and whatnot. So, introduce yourself. What do you do? What do you play? Any interesting things about you?
I mean, on the answer of what I play, the answer is literally everything. I grew up on Nintendo, went to console, PC Master Race a year ago officially, and can't put any of it down from what I've got. I keep my Xbox for stuff that I'm far too lazy to put in my PC. I play Nintendo stuff regularly.
Nintendo's got the exclusives.
Yeah,
They sure do.
And tabletop, card games, everything from there too. So
nice.
Full
Nice.
spectrum.
What do you do though? What do you do for a living?
Employment wise, I'm a casino dealer, so blackjack, craps, roulette, poker. Love to be around the attics.
How long you been doing that for?
5 years.
5 years? Not bad, not bad. You enjoy? You plan on being there a little longer? How much time
It's the first place that I've worked at the hodgepodge of jobs that I've had in the past that I don't think about blowing my brains out. So yeah, I really enjoy it.
That's
important.
Yeah, like that's important not hating your job, man. That's
right.
Hating or wanting to
so
kill
many
yourself.
different things. I've tried so many different things in the past, from like working in radio to doing sound and video editing. I was going to be a doctor, but that kind of fell out.
Mm-hmm.
And like even just small stuff like pizza delivery, and I worked at GameStop for years, so eventually all those made me hate myself.
Right. Understand. But Roger, how you doing, man? You doing good?
Yeah, doing pretty good. I found out my computer hit the glass ceiling for its capability today. A little sad. Cyberpunk's at 40 frames right now, and it's not like it's a little choppy. I can do ray tracing and stuff, but so I'm really about to bite the bullet and buy a new processor and motherboard. I think
is that the problem, or is it the graphics card?
I'm throttling. So ray tracing relies on your CPU as well as your graphics card. So the issue I've got is my CPU's throttling at about 95%, and I got an i7 6700K back maybe 4-6 years old now. So it's it's about 6 generations old. If you go onto like user benchmark, you can literally go superseded by, and you can just go through a whole chain of processors that supersede mine. So at this point, if I'm looking to upgrade, huh?
Yeah. It's time for an upgrade. Then,
yeah,
it sounds like.
I'm still running RAM that's in 2300 2600 speed, so I'm even that is pretty behind the time. So I think upgrading at this point would be the better option than to going for a 3070 or a 3080 or a 3090. I think just going with a better motherboard and processor probably do me better for a longer time.
Yeah, most definitely. What games have you been playing? I mean, obviously Cyberpunk just came out today, but
so what you interrupted me doing?
Yeah, I got Cyberpunk that I started last night, streamed about an hour with Jordan. She likes it because she's a big fan of CD Projekt Red. She loves The Witcher 3. So we started that. That was pretty fun. We did the second night of Castle Nathria from WoW, the new raid. And we're still only 1 out of 10 done, so it's quite the fight. So it turns out an overtuned boss that we threw ourselves at for 5 hours. 5 hours across 2 nights.
We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, so we threw ourselves at this boss for 5 hours. We died about 24 times, and then we ran out of time for the week. Because we give ourselves 6 hours a week, 3 on one night, 3 on the next. And me and Sean, we threw ourselves at it and couldn't beat it. And then it turns out they lowered his damage today or yesterday.
Last night at 11 p.m.
So right after we quit, they tuned him down a little bit because it turns out he was doing too much damage. So if you weren't a Mythic Plus guild who knew what you were doing, you kind of were running randos like, how do we do this? We don't.
Right.
Yeah, it says in the patch notes they didn't scale it back for smaller guilds.
Yeah.
it was all set to if you were in a 40-man.
Yep.
So
So
It sounds pretty insane. I mean, I just hopped back into the WoW movement. I gotta get my subscription going, but thanks to you guys, I got my grind to 20 pretty
yeah.
quick.
And the best part is now the game's so much less
shorter.
that you have to do. You get to pick your expansion
Yeah,
after you beat BFA, and then
it
you can
seems
do
more
whatever you want.
accessible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really
it
is.
seems more accessible.
Like they pruned the game so that it became more accessible so that they could try to expand their audience to younger kids, but they over pruned the game so now everyone was, like myself, Sean, we hated that we lost so many cool things that all these classes may have had. And now we're going back, de-pruning the game, and now they're saying, okay, you don't have to do all the expansions. That's like a week, 3 week long experience. Let's just say you pick your expansion after
If
you
that's the
beat.
only thing that you're playing at the
Yeah,
time, too.
exactly. You know how.
There's so many great games
Yeah,
out
if you're a regular playing it, it's a slog fest and it's terrible. And some
there.
expansions just aren't worth it. You may hate them.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, it's been a benefit for myself. I started in WoW in Classic, and then left because I didn't have any friends to play with or anyone that would actually pay for a sub for me at the time because it was before I met Roger. And from there, I missed out on the best ones that everyone talks about: Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, and
Hmm.
decided, like, when Pandaria came out, that was when I could actually have affordable money to spend it on a WoW sub.
Hmm.
Came back, started playing, and then had to level through all that stuff and just got fragments of each story. Now with the new leveling system in Shadowlands, I can go back. I leveled a character through the entire Wrath of the Lich King story, so
Yeah, you get to
finally got
play
to
every
experience
zone,
that.
which is awesome.
No, yeah, it sounds like they organized it and made it a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's way more accessible. So as a
you
new
get
player,
Yeah,
you get
I mean,
at least
I'm
one
excited
full
to
story.
hop back in it for sure to check
yeah,
it out. I mean, I played it with Classic a little bit, and then I hopped in. I think when Burning Crusade first came out, that's when I kind of got into it, and then with Wrath of the Lich King, and then after that, I didn't really play much. I think I played a little bit of Cataclysm, but not too. But after that, then I fell off. I haven't played for 8 years. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It's been a long time.
Yeah, we played
But
a
it,
little bit back in the day, during high school together, but I didn't have the gumption to sit there and level you one to max level, and you didn't.
mhm.
It took too much time, and if that wasn't your dig, and you just wanted to play with friends, it's definitely now more inclusive. You can get from 1 to 60 like that, and now you're with your friends.
Right. No, yeah, that makes more sense. But myself, I'm getting over my sickness as I explained last week, and I still got it in my chest. But
Oof.
game wise, I am still trying to grind out Assassin's Creed, man. I can't believe how much content there is in this
Which
game.
one?
It's incredible. I have now invested 50 hours into the game, and I'm still not done. So it's definitely you get your money's worth for it. Cyberpunk's coming out today. I can't wait to hop onto that as soon as we're done recording.
Yeah.
But but yeah, man. Let's get into some of the gaming topics this week. Um, let's go into some game releases.
Okay.
Game
Cyberpunk,
singular.
Yeah. Yeah. Game singular. Uh.
right? Yeah.
So
We're going to be talking about two of them a little bit, but primarily we're going to get into Cyberpunk.
yeah.
Uh, what are y'all thoughts so far?
Cyberpunk, I think, has the potential to be an amazing game. I haven't
Mhm.
gotten barely any way through it. The customizations that I've just seen in the first 10 minutes of the game are massive, and the world is huge. Just starting one of the stories, the drive into the city itself is just it feels, it takes a minute. It actually
Right.
feels like there's distance. It's not like you pump on the gas and you're like, oh, and I'm here. It actually
Yeah.
feels like you're trying to get somewhere, and I
Well, which life path did you end up choosing? Did you choose a
I
nomad
got
one?
two. So those who tuned in for my stream last night saw that I picked the Street Life first.
Hmm.
And I'm now also playing my own single player playthrough where I'm by myself without the stream or Jordan around, so that I can kind of figure out the game so that not everyone's
Feel more
watching a
immersed
clunky
into
stream.
it. Yeah. No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But
but
what was the second one
I
that
picked
you chose?
Nomad for my single player play, or like my solo playthrough. And I
Okay.
like that the intros to the story themselves really, you can see within the first 5 minutes of the game how it influences the rest of the content to follow. So like different playthroughs starting, have different contacts that you'll get within the first 5 minutes of the game, which is
Mhm.
actually
Right,
quite
right.
impressive. That they
Yeah,
take that
I
attention to
haven't.
detail.
Right. Yeah. As I said, I haven't started playing yet, which
Yeah.
I'm going to get into after this, and I'm not exactly sure which life path I'm going to choose, but I do know, just from following this game for the last 7 years, I do know that all three life paths are different, but they all lead to the same point,
Hmm.
like before the actual main game actually starts. And it's interesting to see like some characters in one life path, maybe your best friend versus the other one might be like a neutral person versus he might be a bad guy
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Just all depends on, like it
Where you
says, like
start.
right.
Mm.
And I think it's cool how they do that, and then they bring the whole like the story into the all like start from the same point basically,
Hmm.
like the actual story does. But and it may or may not affect different dialogue and stuff like that. I heard like as a street kid, like you might have a different lingo as like if you were a nomad and stuff like that. So I think it'd be pretty cool to
Well,
see.
the best part I find is based on your intro. It's a quality trait, just like you're playing Divinity. You're starting who you are will influence the choices that you can make. Being a nomad, for example, you get nomad specific options for dialogue. So I think that's really cool. I think the attention to detail is there. And when I get further into the story, I think it's really going to explode with how much there is to it.
No, yeah, for sure. And then not only do you have your life path choice, you also got your like RPG skill tree aspect of it, where you could choose like to
Yeah.
focus on hacking, and then I don't know the other abilities yet. I haven't really delved into. I've been trying to stay away from the actual real content,
Same.
just so I can experience it as well. But I know there's multiple trees that you can focus on one versus the other. Like it does cater to a lot of play styles.
Yeah, it's definitely an RPG game, like a classic RPG game. You build a
Mhm.
character. It's not like say Skyrim or any one of those Elder Scroll games where if you play long enough, you can fill out every tree.
Right,
What you choose is going to be who you are. Your decisions now will affect you for the rest of the game, and you're not going to be
right,
able to unlock everything.
right, for
We
sure.
don't know that
And
for
I've
certain yet.
also what's that?
We don't know that for certain if you can't
Maybe
unlock
maybe
everything yet.
maybe you can,
The game,
but
the game has
But
been
I
out
also
for
do know that it's
24 hours.
yeah, so we'll see
right.
what happens. Maybe there will be, people who grind out all the things they can. I haven't
Right.
really seen, but from what it looks like so far, it really looks like it has a lot to it.
No, for sure. From some podcasts that I listened to, I heard that they mentioned that as of right now, like there's no way to reset your skill points from your skill tree,
Hmm.
kind of like Assassin's Creed allows you to do. So it's just like you got to actually think about where you're placing these points because as of right now, you can't reset them. But going off of previous history with CD Projekt Red and in The Witcher 3, it was the same thing, but in a later patch, they did allow you to reset
Hmm.
your tree and stuff like that once they added like new game plus mode and stuff like that
Yeah.
when they had their big updates. But so maybe we'll see that in the future to allow because like what happens if you choose a tree and you're like, I don't really want to do this. I want to
Then
do this.
The answer is clearly
You got to
start
create a
over
whole
and
nother
get your
character, and
progress
that
back.
might be an inconvenience, honestly.
Definitely, but I think it also adds a level of just depth to the game. Your choices
Mhm.
matter. It who you are. If you can just reset your character on the fly, how attached do you really get to your character versus just getting into the game being like, I don't want to do that slog all over again. I've been through the story. Yeah, we get that. But at the same point, this is a character that you put time into the character builder, You chose your penis length for all you care,
Yeah.
There's
Which,
there's
as of
some
right now,
there's some sort of
there's no reason for it.
yeah, exactly. We'll see what
That's
happens.
the whole
Who
reason
knows?
I'm afraid to stream it.
Yeah,
Is because
yeah.
penis length is an option.
No, yeah, I think it's incredible how like why is that an option? And like from what I've heard from the previews and stuff, like people who have beaten the game, like even during the quote unquote sex scenes in the game, you don't see anything
Hmm.
like
I don't care. I will
when you
wait to stream
unequip
it.
your pants, you still don't see it. So it's just like, what was the whole point of adding this character? Like,
Maybe
Either A, to make the character feel more like you, or to make you feel like the person you want to be.
maybe it's got hidden stats. Who knows? Maybe you get a
right,
bigger
right.
truck if you choose a smaller penis. Who knows?
That'd be great if you did.
Well, we'll see.
I'm about to
No,
restart my
apparently
game.
there is a glitch, or it might just be a feature of the game. But if you switch your pants apparently really quick, like in the menu or whatever, you'll actually see your dick. Like if you switch your pants quick enough. And I'm just like,
No,
who
I've had it
really
happen
dove
on mine
into
a few
that?
times.
Yeah,
This is
Hell, I walked up to the mirror in like V's bedroom at the very beginning of the game. It cleared it off completely nude, despite the fact that he was, fully dressed.
yeah,
I had a couple weird visual bugs with the game. One because I forgot to update my computer's drivers. So when I first launched the game, there's bushes everywhere, and you could not block from your field of view. It is hideous. If you're playing on PC, update your drivers before you start the game.
yeah. I didn't
That's a bad
update
idea.
mine,
That's it.
and it
Um,
was pretty clunky.
And then
um,
go ahead, Sean.
good. There was a couple moments where it's just if you're not looking at what the game is kind of designating that you look at, like for example, you're driving down the road just in the passenger seat, you could look at everything that's going on, just even turn around, look what's going on out in the back window if you wanted to. And of course, that's what I did. And you just have people straight up teleporting out of existence because they made the game thinking, yeah, they're going to be facing this way, looking at all the action over here. We don't need to finish that part. And I'm just watching people teleport and just like slide.
I'm sure that'll get fixed with the some updates and whatnot. Because
Yeah.
I mean, given I've been reading some.
It doesn't need update. I think it looks great.
So I know I heard a lot of the reviews and stuff like that have reported that it was buggy, but I do know that they were reviewing the game before Day Zero's patch was released, and given they released a 43 gigabyte pre-launch update along with the Day One update, which was about 40 gigabytes, I believe, because there was a lot of bugs apparently. Like the game, there was some like game breaking things where it would crash the game or you wouldn't be able to progress in a mission because the person wouldn't move or wouldn't activate the next part of the mission.
Yeah, flags wouldn't trigger. But it's to be expected. It's a big
It's
game.
a new game. Give it a pass.
And not only that, it's a CD Projekt Red game. We're looking at a game that's already playable from launch. It's not a No Man's Sky. Let's be honest here. It wasn't hyped up for years and then flopped.
How many years?
Huh?
How old is No Man's Sky?
No Man's Sky is like 2 years now, and
it might be older than that. I think it's pushing like 3 or 4 at least.
I think I was maybe in college.
What it is now is what it should have been.
Yeah, at launch, and it's a dead game.
Not anymore. It's actually one of the most most supported. Yeah, they just released the next gen version.
Like I didn't know people were actually still playing it. Like I never see anything online about it.
Like if they had like a comeback player of the year award for games, I think No Man's Sky would honestly win that award. The frequent like yearly updates or even like every 6 months updates where they add loads of content, new features and stuff like that. Like it's a completely different game than Day One. Like now you can play with 32 other people and traverse the entire galaxy, universe, whatever it's considered. That's and cool. Explore. You can base build, like you can trade, like you can fight. Like they added new creatures and monsters, and like they added like the huge like space worms. Like they've added a lot of stuff to this, and it's becoming a game where it's almost like a games of service in a way, but because of all the constant updates they come out with it now.
Well,
but I do know that
you're not paying to play though, so it's not a game as a service.
In a different aspect, you're not paying to play as long as you have it. It is on Game Pass for any Xbox owner, so definitely check that out. I recommend it. I want to get back into it eventually, but there's just too many games out right now.
Yeah, and honestly, it's an open-ended game. It's like playing Minecraft. There's a story. But for the most part, I don't believe there's really much to No Man's Sky other than to do what you want.
Well, the goal of No Man's Sky is get to the center.
Oh, okay.
That's your overarching goal is to get to the center of the universe. So then you come across like you got to do this, you got to get that, then you got to build a better hard drive or hyperdrive and stuff like that, just so you can get to different locations.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, back to Cyberpunk, make sure no one spoils the game. Let people please enjoy this game. Take your time.
Mm-hmm.
I did see that people have been able to beat
your ass.
What'd you say?
That the Oompa Loompas come out and kick your ass right like 30 seconds into the game.
No, but I did hear that some people are able to beat the game in 20-25 hours, but that's basically just rushing through it.
Only doing the story.
yeah, only
I
doing
would
the story.
not
Like
do that.
there is a lot to do in this game.
Yeah.
Take your time, go at your own pace, like enjoy
I
the
will
game.
have
There's a lot of places to explore. I heard and whatnot. There's a lot of content. So, CD Project Red does a really good job at detailing a world.
Yeah. What were you saying there?
I will have the first mission completed in 48 hours after I'm done exploring everything in the first central hub that you get.
I'm pretty much honestly just following towards it on foot, and I'm like, if something comes into my way, I'll hit it along the way, kind of thing.
I was doing that, but that's because I forgot how to call my car.
Oh.
You don't just whistle for it like Assassin's Creed.
Well, at
Technically,
least,
yes, you do.
well, at least the car's a
just
little
forgot.
more reliable than your freaking horse in Witcher 3, you know?
Not when it drives off without you.
or ends up on a
I-
roof, you know? You don't have
I-
to deal with that.
I finally figured out how to call my car, and it pulled up and then just kept on driving away. I had to chase it down.
Oh man, that's not good. But yeah, I mean, Cyberpunk's gonna be a good game to dive into. It's gonna take up a lot of time. But another game that we've already talked about a little bit is World of Warcraft, and you guys mentioned the new dungeon and whatnot.
New raid, yeah.
New raid. What's your thoughts on the new raid?
Well, so
It's great.
as of Tuesday, we saw the release of the first season of WoW for Shadowlands. So we got Season 1 PvP, and we've got Castle Nathria and Mythic Plus launching. So with Castle Nathria, big issue we see right now is a lot of pug groups, just random players that group up together. Pug groups are having a lot of trouble sticking together because people don't want to learn the mechanics, get frustrated, and then leave. So unless you're in really a dedicated guild or a group of people who really want to know or really know how to play or want to play, you know, the raid can be good or bad. We just, as we said earlier, the second boss, if you choose to do him second, the Huntsmaster was overtuned, and in the smaller groups, he definitely left a lot to be desired in a fight. So I think moving forward, we're going to see a little bit of tuning for the raid, but hopefully many groups, especially pugs, are going to be able to get it done before all the tiers release on looking for raid.
Right. No doubt, that makes
And
sense. What's your
And
thoughts,
if you're
Sean?
looking for a group on Thrall, there's the Honored Horde that you can join.
Shameless plug.
Taking more people. Shameless
Right.
plug. Fine. Follow me on Twitch at Jeff Slugs. I'm spelling right here in little letters. We won't.
Right. But what's your thought of the raid?
I
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
you're
Sean,
good.
I was asking Sean. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I enjoy the aesthetic for it, and I love the freeform on what bosses you can fight when. If you're really having trouble, you can always just say, you know, screw it, we'll go do the boss on this side of the castle instead. But eventually you do need to clear everything. I don't know why we were, well, actually, we do know now why we were having so much trouble with it, but the trick is just going to be, it's going to come down to a lot of coordination for it, and what I hope doesn't happen is the dungeons that have come out this expansion. Thank you. Just look for the
You're
word.
good.
A lot of the gear that people are looking for, like the memories to make your legendaries, drop on like the first or second bosses. So you have people forming groups for dungeons, killing the first boss. They don't get what they want. They leave,
Yeah.
and it's causing a lot of groups to fall apart there. So I haven't taken a deep dive on the loot for the raid. For all the classes. I mean, I've looked at mine, but that's because I'm selfish. But like I haven't looked at all the other stuff, so it's making me a little worried if they made that mistake again with the raid. If people are gonna come over, fight one boss, and then immediately leave then too, even when they're successful.
Yeah, it's gonna probably happen a lot near the end, but let's hope that the beginning kind of holds together. I definitely have to agree. The aesthetic of the raid is awesome. I think the whole vampire aesthetic that we got in the Afterlife is really neat, and I think it really, the story is really built well. This expansion has a really clearly defined story, with a lot to be, you know, uncovered still, but knowing that we already have one big bad who clearly is like, yes, I'm a bad guy. We're like, cool, all right, that, you know, we don't have morally gray areas. You know, it's not Horde v Alliance anymore. It's, let's just save the world for once, you know, let's actually just do good for once, and it feels really good. Yeah, exactly, right? So I definitely have to agree with Sean. One of the nice aesthetics is it's not a linear raid. Most raids that we dealt with in the last expansion were a line. You know, you went left and right a little bit, but you always went boss one, boss two, boss three, and so on. You never had
We've
like,
got a lower flip one.
yeah, you didn't have a good choice on where to go next. Like, oh, our group's struggling with this. Why don't we try another boss, see if we can pick up a few pieces of gear, and then slap him again. You know, with this raid, you can literally go boss one, boss two, three, four, five, or six.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I mean, even going back to when I was playing in the beginning, it was like you said, straightforward, just linear,
Yeah.
go one to the next to the next. Where this one just give you options. So I think it was pretty cool to introduce a new layout to the raids and whatnot. I think that that's pretty cool. But it sounds like one of the main problems that are going on is maybe the communication. Like you were saying, you have to have better tactics and coordination. And
Yeah.
it's hard to do that if you don't have communication. So if you're just running in there with randoms, that's going to be hard to have any communication unless they are going to be like, "Yo, join my Discord chat," or "Yo, join this chat."
And that's what we do,
Because how
but most
that's,
people don't want to. That's the problem.
I don't know where we're gonna
I
find
feel
two
like trying
guild
to
tanks.
I just feel like trying to communicate through text, like where you're trying to fight and text through shit, like that's a lot. Like
Yeah, it
no one
is.
has time to kind of multitask like that.
It's super hard. And so luckily we have tools like Discord. There used to be things like TeamSpeak, Ventrilo, things like that back in
Oh,
the day. But, you know,
yeah.
now we have Discord, which is great. You just send a quick instant invite, people join. But a lot of times people are like, I don't want to join. I don't want to listen to you. And then they quit right after we die. So it's like, you know, it's your own dumb fault. But
Right. And it sounds like it's primarily due to what Sean was emphasizing on is the whole like, oh, I'm only in here for the loot and not
Yeah.
necessarily grinding out and trying to beat the raid.
yeah, I don't want to learn to get the raid unlock. I just want my pieces of gear so that I can tout my big dick. It's
Right.
Jeremy,
Well,
so I
it
look
sounds like
for-
a way to fix that is just to give all of the loot at the end of the raid instead
Yeah.
of trying to give you increments like throughout.
The biggest problem with that though is like if you give all the loot, like all the I would say like all of the major pieces, like things that are like
Give,
ground defining.
like give keys to unlock a chest at the end
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Like give it something so you
bonus
get to
loot, bonus loot for making it through the entire raid. Yeah, things like that
Right.
would be very good. I think the biggest issue we're seeing right now is, and as time goes on, because after 4 weeks, groups are going to start having end game skips because most all modern raids now, after you get through the first half of the raid X amount of times, which is usually 4, they give you a skip to the second half of the raid where where stronger gear is found. So after you say kill one boss 4 times, you've collected his head 4 times, you know, you get a skip past that boss and you get to do the last bosses quicker. So a lot of groups are going to then just start grinding out those last fights to get the higher item levels that you get from those later fights. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I didn't know that.
yeah,
That's pretty cool.
but so far us on the Honored Horde, we've only done it once and we didn't get to the boss that you have to kill. We got 1 out of 10. So honestly, we're hoping to get more people. But you know, it's definitely a trying game to play sometimes. I still think the game is thriving very much so, but it is definitely becoming more of a elitist activity at times.
Right. Well, hopefully I can join you guys in the future once I get back into it and grind out my levels again. But
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't think it's more pathetic. 1 out of 10 normal.
1 out of 10 normal, yeah.
Yeah, more pathetic. Okay, good.
But Sean, what would you rate the new raid out of 10 so far?
I want to see more of it before I actually put it on a rating system. I'm a sucker for, Gothic castles and, all that architecture-wise. So visually, I love it. It's probably one of, I would say like at least in the top 5 visually appealing raids that I've done. Up there with Icecrown Citadel, Dazar'alor. Honestly, I want to fight all the other bosses, figure out, actually beat them to figure out exactly how I feel about it, mechanically speaking, on where it sits.
Right. That makes sense. What about you, Roger?
I'm kind of in the same boat Sean is. I love the first boss. I thought it was really great. The line of sight mechanic actually worked. Because that is a very suspect mechanic. WoW is like, all right, we're gonna play with line of sight. Sorry, not everything is great in line of sight. You can throw abilities through walls and battlegrounds and things like that.
Right. I feel like
Line
that
of
has always been a problem in World of Warcraft. They were
yeah,
able to
and
cast
It's
so
worse
stuff
than
on the walls.
PvP.
yeah, it's worse than PvP, and it's like, okay, so we have this already established mechanic, and now we're gonna base an entire fight on it. And I gotta say, the first boss, seamless. I don't think I had any troubles with line of sight.
Mhm.
We were able to beat it. It was a understandable boss, and there were ways to wipe very quickly if you didn't follow. But I think it was one of my favorite bosses I've fought in a while. It wasn't overly complex.
Yeah.
I think the Huntsmaster, a little more complex. I think having three different phases where they completely change the way the fight works, I didn't care for. I think
On the
another one,
second boss too.
huh? And it's only the
And that was
second
on the
boss.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was hoping for something more like Eternal Palace, where the bosses, they were on scalable difficulty. You could clearly put them on a scale and judge how much more difficult they were than the last. And it's not like
Well,
their mechanics were hard.
do you think that raid has that? But like, since you can go in any order you want, like you
I
won't know
think
until you
I
hit on the other
think there
one.
may be easier bosses, but we only slammed our head against two out of three or four of the bosses that we could have after beating the first boss. So maybe given time, we can maybe try one of the other bosses we skipped next week. We'll see about doing that on Tuesday. But honestly, I think the raid is visually appealing. First boss was good. I'm excited to see the rest of them, but for
Mhm.
a non-dedicated guild, I think there is a lot to wrap your head around, and I'm worried for the people in LFR. Um,
I'm
so
gonna do it and
yeah,
Right.
hate everyone in there.
yeah, I'll probably do an LFR maybe once a month to see how it goes. It's just if it's anything like the last one, it's gonna be rough. I think it's definitely gonna be a difficult raid, but I hope that in the vein of things they don't dumb it down. They just fix the damage because I think that's our biggest issue is the scaling of the damage.
Right. Well, how many people are supposed to be going into the raid at one time?
So raids ever since I want to say Pandaria or after Pandaria. No, I think it's after Pandaria. So Warlords of Draenor, raids are no longer separated out into 10, 25, or 40 man. They're
No.
now any more than 10 or more, and it scales based on your count users. And if you hit a certain
It's any more than
threshold,
6.
huh?
It's any more than 6 actually, and you qualify as a raid group
You can become a raid group, but it still requires 10. It still
to
requires
go in
10.
there.
Yeah,
Okay.
it won't change any of their health or damage until you pass 10. Once you pass 10, then the raid scales. But
Mhm.
anything under 10, and they say 11 is a sweet spot that doesn't also scale. It doesn't scale till 12. So you can technically get 11 people and get an extra DPS, but I'm not sure if they still allow that scaling. But I think it's definitely an interesting raid, and I think next week we'll have a little more insight to how it goes.
Okay, for sure. But I'm gonna stay on the topic of raid. I'm gonna add something here that's that's not on our itinerary, but I want to talk. You both have played Destiny, right?
Yeah,
Like obviously,
I
have you guys ever
Not a
played any of
lot.
the raids in those?
I played raids in Destiny, and they're the equivalent in my mind to a dungeon in WoW. They're meant to be instead of 3-man squads, 5-man squads. I think they go up to maybe 10, but I
Hmm.
think I think Destiny is definitely a different ballpark. I don't I don't know. I think it's definitely an interesting game, but it's probably not for me, really. I played it a little bit. I think it's cool, but I don't think there's enough depth to what you can do to the like each character. Being I think only 3 classes and then a few subclasses for those.
A few. I mean, they got a lot of subclasses now, especially with the new expansion. But I think they're up to
Hmm.
like four, maybe five subclasses. I could be wrong. I think it's
Yeah.
four.
Well, we're
Exact.
looking, in things in terms of WoW, you've got 10 or 11 classes now, I think it is, and each one of them has either everyone, if we take them all together, everyone has 3, one of them has 4, and one of them has 2, so every class technically has 3 in the grand
Yeah.
scheme of things. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of depth to play there.
Right,
And
for sure.
and I think the other thing is everyone's doing the same mechanic, like is everyone's a DPS in Destiny, whereas in WoW you've got tank, you've got damage, and
Mhm.
you've got
No, yeah,
healers.
I think from a tactical standpoint, I think it's more like that in World of Warcraft as opposed to
Mm,
Destiny. Because like I mean, but Destiny you obviously still have to work together and do certain things, but
yeah.
there's not, like, all those different classes that all do different things like healing and doing
Hmm.
this and doing that. It definitely makes sense. But Sean, what's your thoughts on the Destiny raids?
I did not actually play a whole lot of Destiny. It came out right, or at least I wanted to enjoy it on the Xbox One when the console war started, and just never took the time to actually play a whole lot of it.
Hmm.
I got stuck
No,
playing a
yeah,
lot of
I
uh,
agree.
And then my
I got stuck
follow
playing
up.
a lot of single player story games at that
Hmm.
time.
Yeah, and I think my follow up to Destiny as well. There's no good matchmaking system when it comes to the raids. You have to build them yourself. And, you know, there isn't,
Actually, I think they added it in Destiny 2 at one point. I think it's in there now.
because when I
Where you,
played Destiny 2, it didn't exist. I
yeah, I
played,
think it's in there now because they just released
yeah,
that new raid too, like a week or two ago when
yeah,
Last Light came out, and I think like this, like I feel like the raids obviously are different, like you said, than World of Warcraft because like I feel like they're different in a sense because there's like platforming to it, like there's puzzles that you might
yeah.
have to solve. I don't know if those are necessarily in World of Warcraft,
There
other
are
than just getting
puzzles and
through.
other things you have to solve, but there's more platforming in Destiny. So the Z axis or Y axis becomes a little more prevalent, whereas
Mhm.
WoW is really only in your X and Z. You go forward, back, left, and right. You can go up
Right.
and down a little bit. There are some stages that have like varying heights and you have obstacles, but for the most
Mhm.
part, WoW isn't like, somebody's up here, somebody's down here, people are around. Um,
Right.
so I definitely say that Destiny does have that advantage where it's, it feels more like an arena you're fighting in versus just like, a blockaded stage in WoW where it's just a flat plateau for everyone to play on.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've actually never I played one of the older raids. I don't know if it was Destiny 1 or 2. I was like, it was like Glass of something. I
Hmm.
can't really remember. But that was like the only one I really got into, and I just felt like it was just so difficult because it comes under that same aspect as communication and working together, and like, and
Yep.
if people don't know what to do, and because there were certain tasks that you actually had to do in these raids,
Oh yeah.
you all had to work together and do your own part. But if people don't know what they're doing and actually don't know what you're supposed to be doing, you're not gonna go past each stage.
Yeah, and then
And then
people
it just
start
becomes
quitting.
harder.
And
Right. Because I mean you could spend 6, 12 hours doing that one raid and you might not even get through it.
yeah, I spent hours doing what is it, the Silent King or the Shadow King, or I can't remember which one it was in Destiny 2. But it was about that like darkness entity. And I did the raid for that, and I spent maybe 9 hours with a friend trying to get through the first like three bosses, and we only got to the witches in it. And I was like, it didn't feel like there was as much depth to the reward. Like it felt like there
Yeah.
was too much trash, and then the bosses were very complex, and I felt like there wasn't enough community for me in the game.
Hearing
Right, right.
you guys talk about it makes me glad I kind of missed out.
Yeah, it as it grows older, they've made it better. But like originally, Destiny, in my opinion, was kind of a flop. It had great multiplayer. Don't get me wrong. I liked the ability to kind of drag and drop with friends. They pop in and you go. And the open world, your missions were
Mhm.
open world. It felt like an MMO, but it was also you could play the whole thing single player, and it was great.
Right.
But when you hit the raids and the dungeons and stuff, then it became a multiplayer game. And then I thought PvP was awesome. I loved the PvP in Destiny. Don't get me wrong, there were definitely times where I was like, that guy has some broken ass shit, and I just instantly die. Fuck this
Right.
game.
Yeah. It's
You
just
know?
like if you had like a certain weapon, man, it's just like I felt like the balance in weapons wasn't that good
Hmm.
in Destiny. Yeah, I mean, it's still like that today. Like I've hopped in it every once in a while, and like I'll melt some people, but then I get instantly. I feel like I get one shotted, and it's
Yeah.
not even. And I'm just like, what does he have that I don't have?
Raid gear. There you go.
Right.
And if you're not doing the raid, you lose. And I think it was very difficult. Something I like about WoW, where like you can get raid, PvP, or mythic, or sorry, PvP, raid, or mythic gear, and all of them are equivalents. None of them are better than anything else.
Well, that's
At a
technically how
certain
it
point.
is in Destiny. Like everything, the stats and everything go out the window, like as if you were in PvE.
Yeah.
Because like all the light level and all that stuff like that is irrelevant in PvP, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, Destiny 2, Sean, if you ever wanted to hop in, I've actually asked Roger about it because they actually changed it now. They're not necessarily working on Destiny 3. They're making Destiny 2 now a platform. They want to
Okay.
just keep adding to it and just keep producing more
okay.
content from it and whatnot. That was a new update with it and whatnot. It is Destiny 2 has gone free to play, so it's not like it costs you anything. Only thing it costs you is if you want to get into the expansions, which do cost. But like I said, if you have Game Pass, you have access to the game and all of the DLC for free. And then they are coming out with crossplay next year, and they're adding like tons of new weapons, like because you can work towards like mythic or legendary or whatever the highest tier weapon. Like they'll send you on missions, and you got to do certain things to get them and whatnot. Like
And
they always have
definitely, when
that,
you're
so.
on PC Master Race, it would definitely be worthwhile to play. I would definitely give it a go again because it doesn't require that much investment of people. WoW requires like 10 to
Right.
actively, efficiently get into endgame
Mhm.
content. Whether you want to do rated PvP or you wanted to do, the raids, you need 10 people. You can grab random people, but the consistency is rough at times.
Right, for sure. No, yeah, I think Destiny 2 is a good game, and it's another one of those games that has come back really, really strong because it did have like it kind of
hmm
it didn't get all the marks it really wanted to in the beginning, but it has grown in all the updates and their DLCs even from the first game were better than the base game.
Yeah, no, and that's something we're seeing a lot lately in video games. Like the initial game has high goals, but then studios are like, you got to get it out, so they get it out, and it's like, wow, this is a piece of garbage. And then people will buy it because it's an IP or the studio, and then they're like, okay, stick with us, DLC, DLC, and it's like, yeah, and
Yeah, but now we're spending $40 for a $60 game that we
and the
already paid
chat's
for.
right. The chat even on Twitch is saying, buy it now, play it later, and I'm like, I agree. I
and,
agree.
and, and what's
I
crazy though
forgot
is
you're
like
streaming. I'm not looking at the chat.
Oh
Shit.
yeah, I looked at the chat, and just so you know, Vic, we can't bring Sean on. The chat says our guests they just suck. Our guests lately suck.
Fuck off.
I'm just saying. Just the guy said the upper left looks like a douche who vapes, but I don't know. I don't know him very well. Oh dang it!
oh
But
man, but yeah, man, let's move on to a different type of gaming. I
all right,
wanted to go into some tabletop stuff. I know you guys are big into this.
all right.
I get into it a little bit,
Oh
but let's
dude.
start with Magic the Gathering and Pokemon.
All right.
Oh,
So all right. All right. When was your first card game? Let me just get this out here. What was your first card game, and when did you play it? Go
It
ahead,
was
Sean.
Pokemon. It was. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, let's see what Sean has to
oh,
say.
what was my first card
Yeah,
game?
what was your first card game? When did you
Like
start?
It
like
was
trading
the
card game.
no. It was the Star Wars trading card game that
When
came
was
out
that?
during like the pre. I want to say
Early 2000s then because the
Yeah.
first prequel was
So
99.
so
it was Attack of the Clones had just come out,
okay.
That would have
So
been like 02.
yeah.
something
So
like
you
that.
you played card games late. I thought you would have been
Yeah,
in the first row. Yeah. How about
no,
you, Vic? When was your first card game?
It was definitely Pokemon, and it was that first edition, which is blowing up right now,
Yeah, dude.
which is
That's crazy, dude. Remember the hype of like getting a foil Charizard as a kid? Like not even first edition. If you had a foil Charizard, you were fucking rolling in money somehow.
right. You're just like, yo, look, I'm a badass man. I got this Charizard. I never had a foil
Yeah,
Charizard. I've had
no,
a Charizard.
I agree. I think I got like 2 or 3 foil Charizards. I can't find them right now, and I'm like hella worried because like if one of them's first edition, I might
fucking
go get it
battle cards.
rated. Yeah, I
Right.
might go get it rated. I'm going through my cards right now. Like, what shit is first edition? They're
Well,
probably gonna get rated at like a 7 or an 8, but like,
right.
yeah.
I remember the biggest thing that I was like cool about was to find I think it was Diglett. The energy icon was turned sideways. It
Oh,
was like a
dude.
misprint, and it was just like if you had that, like it was. I don't know if it's worth it any money,
Oh
but it
yeah,
was
yeah.
just like
Oh
one of
no,
those
it
things.
is. If you get shit like that, so they look for cards right now, like imperfections are also worth money. Like if you have a card that has an imperfection, it is definitely worth money. So
Hmm.
I definitely think,
Provided it was a misprint, not you took
yeah.
a Sharpie to it and made
Oh
it
yeah,
into
yeah, yeah.
fact.
And like there were definitely misprints that were worth a lot more. Like there was times when they would have letters sideways, and people would
Yeah,
notice that, and it was, it's just because it's a unique misprint that happened a bunch, but only for a set select number of cards. It
right.
People are like, I want it because it's rare, and it's like,
Yeah, Pokemon has blown up so much recently that even on TikTok, like you just got people who produce content of just opening packs and
yeah.
trying to hope
Oh,
that they pull
I
a
was
rare card.
watching Pay Money Wubby, and he opened a freaking first edition Jungle Box. It cost him like 45 grand or something to buy the box from somebody, and he sold each pack out of the box for $1,500, and he opened them live on stream. Some dude, he opened one of the card packs for another streamer, and
Hmm.
he opened a foil Snorlax, and I think they're worth like 20 grand or 30 grand if it gets rated at a 10 out of 10.
Oh my!
Like the box alone, if you pull the foil Snorlax, is the same price as the box itself, which is like more than is like costs almost a third of my house to
Right.
buy
Well,
a box of
it
first
sounds like you're
edition Pokemon.
gambling.
So like the whole
Look at me, I have a
phenomenon is
house.
insane.
No, yeah, and it's crazy. Like Pokemon's been around for a long time, from like mid early '90s, and then remember playing the card game on the Game Boy.
Yes.
That was fun too to be able to
Yeah.
get into that.
And then
Like,
like
don't get me wrong, I played like first gen Pokemon stuff, just not. I never got into the card game until
yeah, and that
after
oh,
much later.
yeah, that for me was a big thing. I loved the card games. And then just like chat here who's telling me their Yu-Gi-Oh story in live time in real time.
Yeah, knock off the
Yu-Gi-Oh.
goddamn pot of greed shit.
Yu-Gi-Oh was huge.
Yu-Gi-Oh was huge. I loved
I
Yu-Gi-Oh.
still today remember buying my first deck, and I bought Yugi's with the Dark
Yeah,
Magician.
yeah, dude. I remember going out of my way to get the special edition box that they had to get all 5 pieces of Exodia, but I
Oh
also
yeah,
had collected other pieces just from getting them out of
the pack.
packs. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
remember getting the collector tins too. That was always fun.
yeah,
Does Hearthstone count?
Hearthstone, and that's another
That's a
thing.
newer trade card game or
Yeah.
whatever
No,
it
it's
is
not. It's
now.
the collection card game.
Yeah,
Oh, but no, I mean one of the oldest ones though is Magic. Magic's been around
Yes.
for a long time.
Magic predates. Magic was actually like the Wizards of the Coast's like first real game. That was one of their first real things, and that was their card game, and that flagship sold a lot, and like it became a huge hit. I remember my uncle, who's has passed away, but he actually like played Magic in the first little bit when it launched, and Magic the Gathering, he sold cards. He had the Dark Lotus card, which is one of the most sought after cards in Magic the Gathering. That's worth thousands of dollars. He had multiple of them. Like, you know, they're it's crazy what these cards are worth. Now, mind you, you can make some obscene things with them, and that's what their value becomes because of tournament play and things like that. But
Right.
it's just crazy that things like these first edition Pokemon cards that like have no relevancy in like a tournament style format, they just collectors wanting
Yeah.
these cards. It's insane because the baseball
Like you
card
said,
industry
it's a collector.
collapsed in the
Right. It's
80s,
a
and
collector
now
thing.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, Pokemon, even though like they're the Charizard card, they go for thousands of dollars. Like they still have nothing on some baseball cards that go for fucking
well, and
millions of
that's the
dollars.
thing, the baseball card industry was the reason people collected cards. They were great for kids in the 40s and 50s, and they loved
Kid-
these things when they came out, and then after a while the baseball card industry became so overpopulated with cards that it busted, and a
Right.
lot of things they're worth nothing anymore. Like baseball
Right.
cards, they only the old cards are worth anything, and it even then they're not as worth as much as they used to be. So
Right. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I actually have a lot of my dad's collection that he collected from the '70s and the '80s. I
mhm,
like he has collected like full sets. Like I can only imagine like if they're worth anything now.
mhm.
Like one of these days, I mean, I want to probably hold on to them. I just want to get
Yeah.
them appraised to see how much they're actually worth. But it's just crazy that cards itself holds value or gains value like the longer that they've been out.
Hmm.
And, and I think it's so crazy that people were able to find like sealed boxes of Gen One.
Yeah, that's what boggles my mind. Now, don't get me wrong, there with this huge boom and bust, there is a ton of forgeries. A lot of people are resealing boxes with fake cards and selling them. And, they're getting away with this fraud. And there's more that you can follow on this and stuff, but I think one of the things right now is the, a lot of people are buying into this because of streamers. I think streamers are really the big
Yeah.
influence right now. And so I think there's a nostalgia to opening card packs, and people are really just they want to watch people open card packs. The people want to open card packs. Like for me, it's like a just getting a it's like a drug, You open a card pack, you're like, what do I got? What do I got? What do I got? And I'm done.
Gambling.
I need to do another one. What do I got? What do I got? What do I got? And I'm done. And it's just there's something about that that's just so appealing to be able to open that and see what it is. And it really also bred the loot box culture. But
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I
No doubt.
I I love trading cards and I love tabletop gaming, and I'm kind of sad that I can't play it because of the pandemic right now. But with trading cards, one of the coolest things that happened recently, Bob Ross artwork is now being displayed on Magic the Gathering cards. They have
Yeah,
land
that's pretty
cards,
cool.
Really?
a special edition land set for like $100. You get like 60 lands or something with Bob Ross's artwork on all of the
Fuck, I might play it.
yeah, on
And
all of the cards. It's
who
awesome.
is Bob Ross to those who might not know?
Oh, if you're on the internet and don't know who Bob Ross is, I'm sorry that you've had a sheltered life. But like Bob Ross is one of those internet sensations. He had a TV show about painting in the 90s, I think it was, the 80s or 90s, and he was just a very calm, pleasant guy to be around, He's like, "Oh, I made a mistake, but now it's a happy little tree." The meme "happy little tree" came from Bob Ross, and there's no such thing as a mistake, only happy accidents. And
That's a good one.
so I think Bob Ross is one of the coolest guys out there, and he passed away sadly years ago, and his son took over and also does art on TV and stuff. I don't know if he still does, but his father's artwork is now Bob Ross's artwork is now on land cards for Magic the Gathering.
No, that's pretty
I
cool.
have a pop figure of Bob Ross actually.
Yeah, he's a great guy. It's one of the three people that the internet misses the most.
No doubt. But we got to move on to these last two topics here, and then we got to get into our last topic here since we're approaching our hour mark pretty
Not a
quickly.
problem.
Warhammer 40K and Dungeons and Dragons. Like, what are your thoughts? What's going on with that scene right now?
Well, 40K. So
Non-existent.
yeah, like the 40K is, even though the world's in a pandemic, they managed to release the 9th edition for their game. They were one of the few companies right now that witnessed scalping and said, "Haha, fuck you, scalpers!" And people who bought like hundreds of boxes of their 9th edition starter box are now losing money because Warhammer's like, "Oh, we'll make the box for the same price as made to order. You'll get it later, but you'll still get it for the same price." And scalpers are like, "Shit.
Yeah, right.
Whatever will I do with these 3 Indominus boxes sitting over
I got
here?
100 Indominus boxes and nowhere to get them." And so like I think that was really cool that happened. I think the 9th edition rule set's really awesome for Warhammer. I think it's got a lot of value to it. And honestly, I think it's definitely a cool thing. I think it's interesting though that they're trying to be safe, but they're also one of those stores that's like, we're essential, and I'm like, are you? And
No,
they're
not
still
really.
trying to have tournaments. Like tournaments are still actively happening. You can't stop a neckbeard. So
That's
I just
great.
have bad facial hair, okay?
Sorry, I got my neck beard going on a little bit.
dude, I shaved and I'm like, oh god, it's all chub here. I need to get my beard back to hide it.
It's all the beer we drink.
Yeah.
Own
Well,
up, own up to the flab.
this is the COVID body right here, man. This is the
Yeah.
COVID hero body.
Yes.
Staying home,
It is.
not going out.
COVID.
It's
It's
the
because of
dad /
COVID.
COVID body.
Yeah, right. Dad bod.
But Sean, what's your thoughts on the D&D and Warhammer?
I mean, I'm an experimental addict. I will sit down and draft up a new character or a new army type daily if I find the time to, and just start cranking out character sheets for D&D or lists for Warhammer, and then never fucking use them.
It's just you enjoy the character creation process.
I have a folder filled with characters in my closet that's just, in the event I die in the unlikely situation to a mimic, I can just pull it out and immediately just go to town on the next character for it.
Well, that's good. You got backups. You plan on dying a lot. Huh?
And then when it comes to Warhammer, I've got a series of lists saved. That way, in the likely scenario again, I show up to play Warhammer with a friend and forgot to make a list. Boom, I got one that I could pull. And I usually have no idea what I'm playing because I forget which list I've just grabbed.
Yeah. The chat's just going off. Unlikely event.
Right. Well, it is unlikely event. I mean, I played Dungeons and Dragons with you guys a few times, and it can go on for hours and hours, and anything's possible. I mean, it feels listening. Man, me and him throw a lot of nat 20s, but every once in a while you do get that nat 1, and you're just like, oops.
This is gonna hurt.
It doesn't work out for me.
I mean, Roger's the DM for a bunch of us. I play in his group. We've got a friend of ours, Sebastian, who's probably in the chat, and he's going on that he DMs for another group of men. And then, despite the fact that I hate, with my passion, the use of the Roll20 website, I've got a couple of coworkers that decided we all need to play D&D, despite the fact that we can't get together. Let's just fucking use it.
Right.
And I'm part of that group too. I don't know when we're actually going to get started, but
no,
it exists.
Cool. Unfortunately, tabletop games have probably taken a hit during circumstances. But there are options to play, like the was it Roll20?
Yep.
Roll20, Tabletop Simulator. Both are, well, one's a better option than the other, depending on what you're doing. But they're kind of hard to get a group of people getting together with because Roll20, both of them have a steep learning curve, so you've got to use them a lot to, make sure your game runs smoothly.
Right, and understand all the features.
And then you've got Tabletop Simulator, which every person that plays needs to, own the game. So that's $20 per player right at the gate. Whatever, we're spending $100 on plastic crack on minis and dice anyways. Who cares?
Exactly.
And then Roll20's got, its controversy with its CEO being whatever. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely. The tabletop industry has definitely taken a hit, but I think it will recover. It definitely isn't going to go away. These companies made tons of money, and they're not poor by any means.
No, yeah. I think once this whole COVID thing goes away and people are allowed to actually hang out again, they're gonna be like, "Man, I miss you. I haven't seen you in like a year." Like, man,
I'm gonna tell them to shut the fuck up and set up the table.
Yeah, we're good. As soon as we get vaccinated, I'm most likely gonna just start hosting game night again.
Right.
I'm so excited to be able to get back to tabletop. I've got tons of stuff ready for
COVID alert.
Yeah, exactly. We're over here like, if it quacks like a duck.
I've had this cough for like months. Fuck off.
No, yeah, it makes sense. But enough of the gaming, and we can continue about the real world here. Related topic to you, Sean. Gambling, of course.
Fun.
I'm gonna go to you first, since you are you work at the casino, aka not right now because of the pandemic. Yeah. But what's your insights of working at the casino for the gambling industry?
I work there, and I've been completely upfront about this to both my employer and guests that show up. I work there so I don't play there. Mm-hmm. I live 10 minutes away from my place of employment, provided I speed and break the law, and will probably end up playing there quite frequently. I'm a sucker for math and the social aspect of poker games like that I could literally just sit there and do it for an extended amount of time.
Right. Well, being an employee, you're not allowed to play at that
I'm not
casino.
allowed to gamble in my own facility, but I can take an hour and a half drive to Philadelphia and play over at one of the 8 casinos there if I really wanted to.
Right, right. That makes sense. But what's the good and the bad when it comes to gambling at a casino?
Good, you can win a bunch of money. Now it's
That's the
the
problem.
good. Yeah, the good side of it is you need to look at it as this is what you want to socially do that day. If you can be the person that wants to, take your wife, girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, significant other, whatever, you want to take them out to a nice, finally, dine meal, a movie, a murder mystery, dinner show on a trolley. I don't fucking know, but whatever you're into, you obviously have a budget. You set it for that night, and you go out and do your form of entertainment. If that's what you're doing at a casino, by all means, that's your form of entertainment. Take X amount of money with you, X amount of time, have fun, enjoy the time, see a band that's playing, get an overpriced steak and a incredibly priced.
But like you said,
whatever.
you have a budget. You most people go there, and they should have a budget. But some people go there, and which leads to the
because of the shift that I work. The shift that I worked pre-COVID, there were people that I would see 4 or 5 days out of the week.
Oof.
And I can't speak for the 2 days off that week I'm off.
They might be
but
there too.
by the pattern that I'm seeing, they're probably there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's rough that gambling can lead to an addiction. Honestly,
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
because like it's all that. Oh, I can hit big. Oh, I can hit big, and then you start losing all this money. You're like, well, man, I got to get this money back.
And then you lose it more.
Right, and that where it starts at is you shouldn't go to a casino if losing that money is going to hurt you. You need to take that money where if I lose this money and I lose all, oh well, that was just for my entertainment, and then that's where the true problem comes from, and that really just stems from mental health, which is what we talk about a lot in these episodes, because a lot of things do relate to having good or bad mental health. If you're struggling, you're just like, it's an addiction. It's one way that you're just like Roger was talking about, opening cards. That's a form of gambling.
It is gambling.
Yeah.
Loot crates, it's all gambling. You're putting money down on the odds of getting something that isn't guaranteed.
Right.
If odds are involved.
And you brought that up with the whole the loot boxes in video games, because like look at EA with Star Wars Battlefront 2. Like it's okay when a loot box, when you're getting items out of it, it doesn't affect like
gameplay,
and if it's strictly cosmetic, it's perfectly fine. But with Battlefront 2, it was you could get some stuff out of there that would boost your abilities on the battlefield or whatever it was, and then it triggered like lawsuits all over the world. It wasn't just our country, where people were trying to look at it as like, man, this is actually a form of gambling, and you got 10-year-olds out there playing this game, and they're gambling, and they're legally not allowed to gamble. So like, where do you draw the line?
It's gambling, and I like, for a while there, I was a big proponent of. I liked CS:GO loot crates. It was one of the first games that really did it. Like before the whole loot crate phenomenon, and then developers realized, hell, we can just sell
millions,
and that's the thing. That to me, I don't like loot crates. That there's like a fine line between a loot crate and just random, like giving a random gift. Like League of Legends did that. You could randomly give somebody a skin that was worth more than you paid, but they didn't get a specific skin. And it was just a way to give someone something nice, that maybe they don't play this champion, but they get a skin for something that looks cool. I'm fine with being able to buy aesthetics in game, but if the only way to get an aesthetic is through random chance,
I'd rather have the ability to choose what I'm buying.
Like Valorant.
I hope I get this Superman skin in Fortnite. Oh, never mind. I got this crappy skeleton one. Like, I'm glad
Valorant costs $100 per bundle.
Well, that's if you get the big bundle. But like, and then again, on the flip coin, Valorant is a 100% free game. So they have to make their money somehow. I understand. So I'll buy skins out of there. I'm not gambling. I'm not going for random chance. From start to finish, I know what I'm getting into if I buy a battle pass, if I buy a skin pack. There's nothing random about it. But when you're looking at things like CS:GO or Fortnite, these things are These things are getting geared towards kids, and then these kids are going crazy with them. And that's like Belgium, for example, banned loot crates in games. You cannot have a game in Belgium with loot crates, or you will get sued.
Another big game that I thought had a problem with the whole loot crates and gambling was Call of Duty, because like they would introduce new weapons, and the only way to get randomized out of the loot crates, so that affected gameplay. And it's like, how can you release a gun where not everybody could have access to it?
That's horrible. I didn't even know they did that.
That was about 3 years ago, I think. But now they made it so like if you complete X amount of challenges doing this, you get this gun, or they'll add it to the battle pass. Reach battle pass and you get this gun, or whatever it is. Like they made it so like you actually had to do stuff in game, and you could actually guarantee getting the gun, not go, oh, let me go spend all of my credits or money or whatever the currency was to random. I hope I get this. Where like YouTubers at that time were like, man, I had to spend like $1,000 just to get one of the new games.
Yeah.
Or the new guns.
And my follow-up, I agree with our chat right now. Like, if you're buying a $60 game, I'm buying a game that should come fully complete. Like, I should be able to play it, and I shouldn't be also then paying more money to get loot crates, like Battlefront 2 or Call of Duty. These games that, like, it's okay for you to be able to buy aesthetics in a game. Loot crates aren't good, period. It's okay to buy aesthetics in game if it's a free game, for example. Like, I'm not going to pay money for something that I've already paid. If I'm playing a free game, I understand you have to make money, and I would rather give you that than have you sell my data. Let's be honest. So skins are cool in free games. Like, that's fine, and you're not forced to buy them. You just buy them if you want.
Fortnite is a good way too, because with Fortnite, they give you like if you buy the battle pass, you could end up getting in-game currency to turn around and buy cosmetics and stuff. So like there's still ways to work towards getting skins for not spending any money.
Like, don't get me wrong. If you like a game, and I'm going to be honest, if it's free or paid, if you like that game, feel free to support the developers for that game. It'll help to improve like the functionality of the game, and it'll help to continue future projects that they make. If you like Subject A and you help them fund a Subject B, you're gonna get your Subject B faster.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's definitely a different way of looking at it, for sure.
To tie back on the whole,
casino
streamers that are not even the casino part, but like streamers that spend thousands of dollars just to get like that one skin to make them look cool, during all their videos. You have to keep something in mind. Streaming is their job.
Yeah.
Which means for most of them, that thousands of dollars, they're not gambling. They can write that off as, a work expense for their taxes, which means it's just further influencing like the random nobody, including ourselves, really. We would end up spending $1,000 out of our pocket and would never see that again.
Yeah, for sure.
And
go ahead, Roger.
I was gonna say, and tying it back, like, loot crates are one thing, like that's active gambling, and it's not like it's not like it's not like that is meant to be the activity. Opening those loot crates isn't the point of the game. Going to a casino and rolling the dice, that is the point of going there. That is why you're spending your money to gamble there. That is why you have to have a certain age, because you have to be able to understand there's an illness behind gambling. You can become addicted, and it's real easy. Gambling is
and the building's designed to work like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's made to work like that. But when you go there, you understand, as Sean said, that is your social activity. That's why you're there. But when you're playing a $60 game, or any game really, and it has microtransactions, the point is not to be opening boxes. It is to be there playing the actual content of the game. And that's where developers are going wrong nowadays. And I'm glad to see less games with loot crates. As time goes on, loot crates have kind of hit their spike and are on the downward slope now.
The basically what has replaced the loot crate is the battle pass.
Yeah.
And just if the game's free, buy our battle pass, you can get whatever cosmetic.
Yeah. And it's guaranteed.
And just keep playing the game.
Yeah, and it's guaranteed. Like, I get it. There's seasonal rewards. That's cool. I think battle passes are fine. It's just when you have an aspect of randomness where you don't know what you're going to get, and odds are you're going to get that crappy item that, and not only that.
Because the developer has control of the percentages, the chances of you getting.
And they don't publish that percentage unless you're in China. China is the only country that forces you to publish the percentages of drop rates.
Yeah.
You can find the drop rates, but it takes work to do it.
Yeah, people have to either reverse engineer it or find it off the translations from Chinese.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
But
it's
yeah,
not always guaranteed that it's the same.
right. And then yeah, but just getting back on gambling, man. Gambling, it's it it has its benefits, but it also has its negatives.
Mhm.
But it's something new to the gambling. Well, not I don't know if it's necessarily new, but it's growing. Is the sports books, like betting on sports games, and not only can you bet on like before the game, there's versions of it now you can bet like
During.
live. Like, hey, are
Yeah.
they going to get a first down on this play? Like you can bet on like small stuff like
You can
that.
literally bet on anything. You can bet if a guy is going to get hurt. Like,
Yeah, it's insane. And what's
Vegas
crazy though
put
is
a favorite on the coin flip at a Super Bowl.
yeah, that's
It
that's
is heads
insane.
and tails, and they put a favorite on the coin flip.
yeah, it's insane. Like they're just trying to incentivize like
Yeah.
everything.
And-
And it's crazy because like I was gonna try and dabble in it just for my entertainment, just for fun, because I'm a big sports guy. And I was just gonna be like, I see all my friends doing it. Let me try it. And I download like DraftKings or FanDuel, and I can't do it because I'm in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sports betting right now is still illegal in South Carolina, which is
Yep.
really weird.
Is this the part where we tell that this podcast is sponsored by
NordVPN. No, but like,
No, I know that there are different ways ways around it. People were like, "Man, you can just pay somebody up in PA to do it," or like you guys were just talking about.
Yeah.
You can definitely get a VPN and just bypass all
Oh,
of that
shit.
stuff.
live announcement, new Smash character. What?
Yeah, it's at the game show.
We
That-
do
that's
not have
started-
time for another
started-
topic.
Oh no, we
Yeah.
don't. I know, but like, oh
it's
shit.
the game awards that are going on right now that just started 10 minutes ago.
hmm
But yeah, I mean, I think
If
gambling.
it's not Wall Street, then it doesn't matter.
it definitely affects everyone. I mean, everyone has to at least try the casino once. Just don't
Yeah.
get caught up.
Yeah.
But finally, let's close out today's podcast with some last thoughts and remarks. We'd like to give everyone a reminder to tune into our in-game review of Cyberpunk. We'll probably get some stream and some clips up on Roger's Twitch during our next episode next week on Thursday. So definitely be on the lookout for that. That is December 17th. And we'll probably start around the 7 o'clock, or is it 7 or 6, you think? 6 o'clock, right?
7 o'clock's our normal starting time. 7 o'clock
Okay, so
PM
we'll
EST.
stick with 7 p.m. But yeah, man. Sean, what are you working on, man? You working on projects? Anything for work? You working on yourself? Anything like that?
I just got back into streaming again. Now that I don't have a job to go back to for the extended amount of time that COVID is.
Right.
I'll have Victor or Roger, whoever's actually uploading the video, put a link down in the description then for that. But that's all I do for the most part. Sit in front of my computer and do shit. Games,
Yeah.
Twitch, eventually edit videos down to put back on YouTube.
Gotcha. Where can we find you at, like social media wise or Twitch? I mean, you can give it a quick shout
I use
out
the
here.
same name. I use the same name for everything. It is Jeff Slugs, and it's GEOFF, spelled like
A heathen.
German or
A heathen.
not a heathen. Not a heathen. There are plenty of famous people named Jeff that spell it that way, and I can think of 2.
That sounds like
There
a
are
lot.
plenty. More than one.
Provided I count me.
No, that's good. That's good.
G off.
I mean, it's kind of spelt that way.
Yeah.
Right. What about you, Roger? What's going on? You working on anything? Working on yourself? Any
Fucking
more projects?
fucking regular mundane job at 9 to 5 has got me moving to the cloud.
You have a job.
Yeah, I got a job like a heathen, like a normal person. Oh, dude, fucking cloud. All right, if you ever have to work with the cloud, it sucks. I hate it. Hate it. Cloud sucks. Don't do cloud.
Even though that's what everything's transitioning to, including gaming.
Yeah.
I hate the cloud. I hate it. It has its benefits, but I don't want to move my whole enterprise to the cloud.
No, yeah, that sounds pretty
Yeah.
risky.
I want a physical backup of everything.
Yeah, like,
Right.
yeah.
But Roger, where can we find you at?
You can find me in the same place. You're watching me now. If you're watching me live, twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion. Oblivion spelled with an A.
Cool. And
Like a heathen.
Like a heathen. Like an illiterate heathen.
Right. Myself, I'm just working on Beat Creed, so I can get that game review up here soon. And then working on Cyberpunk at the same time. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between those games, so that's going to be taking up loads more time.
Mhm.
So definitely be on the lookout for those game reviews coming out shortly. I'll definitely get them posted, and then I definitely want to try and work out a little bit more. I've been slacking off, like we were talking about. We're getting that COVID dad bod. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
Before
minus
the
from
COVID hit, I was going to the gym. I went to the gym every
Yeah, I was doing that too.
Yeah.
I went like
and,
3 times a
and then
week.
and then I started doing 3 times a week and stuff like that. I was getting in a good rhythm, and then COVID was like, "Yep, nobody's allowed to do anything anymore." And I just got lazy. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I
It's
look at
all my fault. I can't blame it all on COVID because I was stuck at home for 4 months and didn't. I mean, I was kind of active. I bought a bike, but that and I went on hikes, but it wasn't the same kind of workout and exercise I was getting
Yeah.
myself into
you
prior.
weren't doing full body.
Right, and I mean, it's my fault. I'm not blaming nothing, nobody. I could still work out.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Oh,
I messed up.
I don't have any excuses either. I actually happen to own a copy of Ring Fit Adventure for my Switch. I don't fucking use it.
Good job, good job. But on social media, you can definitely check me out on Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin _, and then on Xbox at X Never Space Chillin. The space is obviously just a space, not spelled out. And then I'm probably gonna get my Twitch channel set up soon. I'm still want to get some stuff together and whatnot, especially once I get my gaming PC completed. Once I buy my graphics card and whatnot. But we're going to continue to release weekly episodes, so definitely be on the check out. We do stream this live every week on Roger's Twitch at like you said, twitch.tv /lunatic_oblivion, spelled with an A. But make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and continue to share these videos, man. We want to continue to grow this community. We want to be able to connect because we do talk about other topics other than gaming. So definitely stay with us and be on the lookout for more special guests. And I want to thank Sean one last time before we sign off here for coming on to our show here, and hopefully we'll get you back on again in a future episode because there's a lot more topics we can definitely dive into with the tabletop. So there's a lot more topics that we can definitely get into with you. But until next time, peace.
Have a good one.